I know what it's like to have a bunch of ideas of stuff you want to do in your business and you don't know what to work on first. So if that sounds like you, make sure you watch this video till the end because I'm going to walk you through how I decide what to work on in my own business. If you're new here, my name's Jess and I create videos every single week for business owners like you to help you save time and look good online. And today's gonna be a big time saver because we're gonna focus on how to determine what projects or ideas to work on inside your business. So for example, let's say you are thinking about starting a podcast, maybe creating a new online program for your business, and maybe you also wanna do a giveaway of some sort. And you're like, I don't know which idea to implement first inside my business. Like, how do I decide when I just want to do all the things? So the first thing you need to do is really think about your goals. What are your current goals for the year? What's your focus, or even like a theme? Like a few years ago, my theme of the year was visibility. So I wanted to do anything I could to be more visible in my niche. So since I mentioned that, let's pretend that your goal for this year is to be more visible. And so again, we're thinking about starting a podcast, doing a group program, or doing some kind of giveaway. Which one of these really falls in line with getting more visible? Right away, the podcast and the giveaway really lend themselves towards more visibility, right? But think about that podcast. What are you going to need to do to get more visibility from that podcast? An easy answer is to have bigger names on the podcast. So think about, do you have access to bigger names, or could you soon have bigger names on that podcast? And then also think about the size of your current audience. Do you have a decent sized following that will start listening to the podcast? Does your audience even want a podcast? I'm not saying you have to have 1 million followers to have a successful podcast. That's not what I'm saying. But if you only have 100 followers and you're expecting to have a chart-topping podcast, it's not gonna happen very quickly. So again, we really wanna think about what are your goals for this year or this quarter or month, whatever it is, and how do these new projects tie into that goal? Now, the next thing I want you to think about is what could you outsource to help you accomplish these projects? You need to get comfortable with outsourcing. I'm not saying you have to outsource everything or spend tens of thousands of dollars, but there might be some aspect of the process that you need to outsource. For example, going back to the podcast, do you know how to edit? Do you know how to set up a podcast? You might need to have help setting up the podcast and then you take care of editing. You may need help with both the setup and the editing. And if you're struggling with the idea of spending money on these projects, you need to think about what the return on this investment is going to be. Is the podcast going to help you get more clients? Are you going to be able to monetize and have advertisers on your podcast so that it pays for itself? You also have to be honest and ask yourself, am I capable of successfully implementing and launching this project so that it is a success? Or is it gonna look like it's pieced together haphazardly and not super successful? So going back to those 3 projects I mentioned earlier, starting a podcast, creating a group program, and doing some kind of giveaway. What I would personally do is do the giveaway first to help build my visibility and get my name out there. Probably do some other visibility work like being on podcasts, guest blogging, that kind of stuff. Then eventually launch the podcast to help, again, get my name out there, start building authority, and then you can start mentioning your new program on the podcast. So you've built up this audience, you've built up your authority, and now's the perfect time to launch your program. So you can see that I kind of ordered these projects so that they build upon each other. So I have the visibility, then the authority, and then I launch the project. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to take 3 or 4 years to make this happen. You could do this in a matter of 6 to 8 months if you want. So really clarify what your goals are and what projects most align with your goals. I'd love to hear what you're working on. Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, be sure and give it a thumbs up, and I will see y'all next time.